put this live. We'll start streaming, and then we can get into pre-show and do all that stuff. Yeah, I did see that. And did you get my message? So I won't be able to make the following session after that because I'll be. No, well, I can't make the 6th because we'll be on the Cape, doing wedding stuff. But then, so we play on the 13th, but then the session after that, I'll be in Florida. Yes. Yeah. Oh, and of course, Megan decides to call me, like, right now. Hi, sweetheart. Yes, we're live right now. Okay. Bye. She just wanted to call it to say that she was on her way home. All right. All right. So now, all right. Let's see. So we've had the stream starting soon up for about 2 minutes now, so we can swap over to this. Hello everyone. Welcome to our pre-show. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. So yeah. I finally played Fortnite. Fortnite's weird. Especially so the current mode isn't like a regular battle royale. It's so I finally got into I finally played Fortnite since I had it downloaded for like 3 weeks. So I guess the current mode is not like a regular battle royale. It's 2 teams of 50. And it's eliminate the other team. So yeah. Well, you can go in as a team. But it's when you go in as a team, you're still doing the regular battle royale. Right now, the only mode that's available, it seems like, is what's called like Soarin' 50s, where it's no, where it's 2 teams of 50 that drop in, and I guess like some of the things are like there's a lot more like bouncing or jumping items, and you can redeploy your glider, and like your glider will auto deploy before you hit the ground, kind of a thing. But yeah, it's the whole 50 versus 50 thing really threw me for a loop, because the first match that I did, which I know they put you against, at least it seems like they put you against bots or whatever, like I was trying to shoot at people, and I guess I was trying to shoot at my own teammates because I didn't understand who was an enemy and who was not. I had to look up afterward, like, what are the rules of this match, because I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I played a bunch. You know, it's fine. Yep. Yep. Yeah, I mean, and that's my main selling point for including me in raids, and was my main sticking point when I was doing progression rating with my guild, was like, I wasn't top of the damage meters, but I can guarantee that even in a wipe, I was the last person to go down, and often did not actually die in a wipe. But would feign death, yeah. And then when they introduced the guild resurrection perk or whatever, I would often be a guy that would feign death and then pop back up and resurrect the guild. So yeah. I did not see that. That's interesting. Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to get the virtual ticket this year. Really. It's pre-show, but still. There may be children watching. I highly doubt that, but, you know. Well, although if Josh Carty's watching, if Josh is watching, he watched his computers in his living room, yeah. So that may be a problem, but you're not sorry. Oh, also, fun fact: this is why pre-shows are an awesome thing. Once again, I am recording. Once again, it's got the wrong output device set in. There we go. Set in OBS. There we go.
So it wasn't capturing?
Yeah, so the problem is, like, because when I'm doing an art stream or whatever, like, I don't like wearing headphones while I'm just trying to, like, make art or something.
Yeah.
So I set it back to speakers, and then I just have to remember to set it back to headphone output.
Yeah, virtual tickets are BS. It's stupid. Who cares?
I did it last year.
A waste of money.
So my question is,
now,
like, you're not going to hear about a virtual ticket?
So
you can watch the stream live.
Here's what it is, Courtney. It's pay-per-view.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, that's basically what it is. It's pay-per-view, but then they attach a bunch of, like, in-game rewards to it.
And, like, crappy stuff too. Not even cool stuff.
Yeah.
What's cruddy to you might be really cool to somebody else.
It's
like
a lot
of dumb pets and toys and crap.
It's cosmetic stuff.
Yeah. Lame cosmetic stuff.
No.
It's not the
Corcoran wolf armor. It used to be the only way to get
for 5 years.
It used to be the only way to get Murloc pets in the game. Or yeah, I think it was basic. And then the first year was the mount. The big blizzard bear.
Yeah, it just I don't know.
Stuff like that.
It's like it's not like I'm not gonna be able to go on an MMO champion and see immediately anyway what they announce.
I did it last year, and it was nice because I think was BlizzCon around Thanksgiving last year? No. Here's what it was. It was we were. I get it mixed up because we were visiting Megan's grandmother. And we also go to her place for Thanksgiving. So we were out there, and then, like, I woke up, and, like, for most of the day, we weren't doing anything. So I was just sitting around, and I was just like, well, I'll just watch streams kind of a thing, because I got nothing else to do. So, and then, you know, got to see all the news live and everything. But yeah. But typically, that was, like, the first time that I picked it up, and I don't know if I'll pick it up again. Especially, I think the price went up too.
Yeah, I don't see value in it.
Yeah. Like
it's one thing to actually go if you actually went to it.
Yeah.
Like that's different.
Yeah. I think what they should do is do all the streams, right, for free, and then just say it's a BlizzCon bundle. Right, and decouple all that cosmetic stuff from the virtual ticket itself.
Yeah.
But, you know.
So I was playing a lot of Guile on Street Fighter the other day.
Yeah.
That's Travis Willingham.
Yes.
And all I can hear is every time he goes Sonic Boom, like that. It sounds so much like Travis every time.
He was on Between the Sheets this week.
I watched a little bit of it today.
Yeah, I was
doing dailies on WoW.
I was going to
they
watch
are doing
stuff last night.
They are doing that in podcast format, by the way. So they are gonna release the audio versions for Between the Sheets as a podcast.
Well, also, I know that Talison's is up on YouTube now.
Yeah.
So I was going to watch that last night, but instead I needed to sleep for 13 hours.
Yeah.
That is a lot of hours.
Yeah, that was a lot of. I didn't get to sleep this weekend.
Yeah.
So I needed to sleep.
Yeah. I was also watching a follow-up of the latest Dragon Talk, which is like one of Wizards' official like talk show.
With Mercer?
With Mercer and Perkins.
Yeah, I watched that.
And I was just like, oh man. Epicness. So yeah. I was reading a little bit more of Dragon Heist. Specifically like that laws section. And like what are the crimes and everything, and I was just like, oh my god.
Megan's home.
So, yep. I was like, how many of these have we already broken?
All is the answer.
We have not impersonated or killed a lord.
So everything
we have not committed any crimes that are punishable by death. Let's put it that way.
Yet, I think is a key word that has
Probably
to go with
yet.
that.
I'm sure at some point. We're not good enough to do disguises.
I thought it was in the back. I'm curious because I haven't really looked over them too thoroughly yet.
So they basically give shorthand for what the what the punishment is, and then have like a sidebar where it talks about what it is. So that's like, it might say like fines or damages, and basically fines are just paid to the city, whereas damages are paid to the person in question. And an edict is like, you're prevented from doing like whatever activity, kind of a thing. But yeah. Okay. Yeah, assaulting people in a temple, that's pretty big. Yeah.
Assaulting
and it's not just clergy, it's also lay people.
Did that happen?
No, it didn't happen, but I'm just saying like
came close.
It could. It could.
Assaulting people in a temple. Seriously?
I don't know if it's specifically in a temple. I think it's just assaulting clergy or lay people. Yeah. So it's broken into
I had a player try to like cast suggestion on like a city guard or something.
Yep.
And I had her totally get busted. I'm like, I'm not letting this fly. I'm like, wizard walks by and catches you. I had to go through a trial and everything.
Yep.
Great.
Oh man, you're wow.
I'm very big on consequences for actions.
Perkins says that there's like, there's two ways to handle breaking the law. Yeah. And one is that you role play out the guards coming and like questioning people and everything or whatever. And it says like the advantage of that is that, it gives the players more agency, but they might also get themselves into further trouble by trying to like unsuccessfully bribe their way or assault guards or something like that, as players are wont to do. But then he says, or you could just narrate that like the guards show up and your character's arrested and taken into custody, and it's like,
what's the fun with that?
Well, it says, yeah, this isn't really fun, but it's a bit more realistic.
So here's the one you guys. Well, Sicarius has done ad nauseum.
Oh God, how many crimes?
Brandishing weapons without due cause.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is every few minutes.
That's
every few minutes.
Every interaction that we have.
Anytime he talks to someone. If the conversation doesn't go the way he likes, he just whips out the pistol.
Yeah, it's
seriously,
or any time that
almost every single time,
or any time that like a snarky comment is made.
Yeah.
You've got to be. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Josh, how have you not killed off his character yet?
Oh, I mean,
that tells me, well, I'm trying.
no, if I were trying, it'd be done.
There has been plenty of
giving,
opportunities.
I've been giving what I feel are many strong warnings.
Oh yes.
Not just the actions of NPCs in game, but also the DM basically saying this isn't a good idea. You should be more careful.
Yeah.
Assaulting a citizen. I'm sure you guys have done that.
I mean, technically, the Xanathar's guild.
Oh
counts.
No, you guys do it in the bars all the time. Every time you go into a bar, Barlith.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
He's the other one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I finally got 2 million in Stardew, so Jesus. I got my return scepter.
God.
I'll tell you one thing that I am a bit disappointed with this book is the maps.
Oh.
I did see like the floor plan for Troll Skull Alley. Like they're a little more like quick sketch kind of stuff.
They're just black and white, boring.
Yeah.
They're fine, they're functional. There's nothing wrong with their functionality. It's just it's a bit sort of it's a drastic change from what they have had thus far.
Yeah.
As far as maps go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like they fit with the rest of the aesthetic of the book. It's just a big contrast. Like I said, functionally they're fine. They work and they will do what you need them to do as far as maps go, but just as the whole book as a product as a whole and the aesthetic of the book and it's the way it feels when you're just looking at it visually.
Yeah.
They kind of like, I don't know, gives me a not so good feeling. Not a bad feeling, just like, it doesn't feel polished, I guess. Maybe that's the word.
So you feel about that book the same way that I feel about the Player's Handbook Ranger.
As far as I'm concerned, you got the UA and it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll never be in Beyond though. They talked about that today.
Whatever. They made it in the UA, so it's out there.
Yes.
But it'll never be in Beyond, so it's going to be a tough
because it's been 2 years and it hasn't progressed past that point, which from previous discussions on like the Unearthed Arcana process, like if it's that far, that means that it'll never see that version will not see print because it wouldn't have taken this long.
Mm-hmm. Well, didn't they say they're done with it?
Yeah, that incarnation, if there are any changes made for the base Ranger, for the Ranger, that it will take some other form. But I mean, there are plenty of folks that also maintain that the Ranger is fine as is, but
we all know that's a lie.
And I mean, the concession, it might be, but it doesn't feel that way. And that's just as kind of important. So yeah, but we'll talk about that when we get to the Ranger and playing with class, I'm sure.
Yes.
I will have many opinions.
I'm sure you will.
Yes.
He has many words.
Yes, including the changes that I have proposed that are of alternate class features that you can just replace.
My opinion, the Ranger, it's fine. Move on.
Hunter Ranger might be fine. I think for me the big thing is just like it doesn't get what feels like an actual ability at first level, whereas like every other class does.
What do you mean?
So, Favored Enemy and Natural Explorer are both considered like almost like ribbon abilities, where they're more like for flavor than like actual like crunchy mechanic type stuff.
Yeah.
What would have combated that was if they gave Ranger something like on the level of like Smite, or something that paladins get. And I know Smite isn't level 1. But like paladins
Smite also uses spell slots. It's not just we get it; it uses our spell slots.
Well, right. What Rangers get is you have to burn up a spell known for Hunter's Mark, or you can get the atrociously bad Primal Awareness. Or Primeval Awareness. Or whatever.
Right, so you guys get Hunter's Mark, which is consistent damage per whatever, as long as you're hitting damage per hit.
Well,
whereas
you can
Smite,
take Hunter's
so
Mark.
you are consistent DPS, whereas a Paladin is burst.
Except it effectively gives you one less spell known. Because Rangers know spells. They don't prepare spells like Paladins do.
Okay, so what are you going to take instead?
You can take Ensnaring Strike. You can take Cure Wounds. You can take Hail of Thorns. You can take Beast Sense.
As far as what the first level Ranger things are.
Hail of Thorns is like the AoE arrow ability. Ensnaring Strike is like you like root somebody in place when you hit them. There's Zephyr Strike, which is you get to like teleport and make a melee attack. It's either teleport or you move, or you get to like just move as part of the attack, kind of a thing.
Zephyr Strike just gives you advantage on a roll. Oh, hit or miss. You get an increase in walking speed for that turn.
Yeah. And
an extra D8 damage. Still not as good as Hunter's Mark.
Well, it's the fact that Hunter's Mark outshines everything else to the point that you feel like you have to take it.
Right, and that's not a ranger-only thing. Every class has spells that are just dumb and seem pointless.
Well, but the issue is...
if I look at first-level paladin spells, there's a ton that I just like...
The argument is, if the spell is that good, where you're hamstringing yourself if you don't take it from any sort of build, like, it should have been baked in as a class feature. And then opening up design space for taking, because like in my opinion, like every ranger taking Hunter's Mark is boring.
Yeah,
like it's effective, but it's boring.
At Hunter's Mark should be like Smite, where you just have it, but you can use it a spell slot to use it.
Something like that.
I think that's fine.
Or
I'm okay with that.
I think it's either Gloomstalker or Monster Slayer. Like, it's they get to choose a target. Right, and that's like their quarry, and they deal increased damage against that. And then when that quarry dies, like they get to do another one, and then they can like reselect it like once per short rest or something like that.
That is very strong. That is very, very strong.
Hang on, let me just really quick before we start. Let me look it up. I mean, it's super strong for Monster Slayer because it stacks with Hunter's Mark.
It's strong. Period.
Hunter's Slayer's Prey. As a bonus action, you designate one creature you can see within 60 feet. The first time each turn you hit that target with a weapon attack, it takes an extra 1d6 damage from the weapon. Benefit lasts until you finish a short or long rest. It ends early if you designate a different creature.
So what do you... You can keep moving it around?
Yeah.
Like Hunter's Mark? If so, that's too strong. In my opinion. That's a lot. Again, it's not exactly equivalent, but I'll say like my Vow of Enmity is a once per long rest, and that just gives me advantage against one target for basically a combat.
Yeah, I'd have to look at the errata or any clarifications. But it's possible that you just designate one enemy
But then again, depends what.
Oh no! Here's what it is that you can
roll
if you keep moving it to different enemies, you can keep chaining it, but an enemy can only be affected by it once, until you finish like a short rest or long rest, and you can only have one active. So like if there's 3 enemies, like let's say there's a giant, a dragon, and a hag or whatever, and I designate the hag first. Yeah, it's a weird encounter, but whatever. And then like everybody decides, oh well, we're gonna focus fire the dragon instead. Like, okay, well, I'll change it to the dragon. I can do that, but I can't bring it back and affect the hag again until I finish a short or long rest.
That's overly complicated. It's not super complicated, but it's just one of those things that would be kind of a pain to keep track of.
That's the whole thing. It's not the complexity, it's the do I want to keep track of that?
I mean, to boil it down, it's like once per enemy per short rest.
Short rest is too quick, I think. But this is just me first thoughts on it, not thinking about it too deeply, but it just seems like a lot of extra damage. And it seems abusable depending on what you combine it with. But again, what is the ranger's role within a combat? Should they be the person dishing out a lot of damage? Is that their thing?
So they can be, using 4E terminology, they can be strikers, they can be defenders, or to a certain extent they can be support. Monster Slayer is definitely on the offensive side.
Right. So, and what I think I had either heard or read, I can't remember what it was, the whole idea behind making rangers the way they were in the handbook was because they didn't want them just to be purely just dishing out just damage. Like that's just what they get. They just get extra damage for favorite enemy, blah, 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 blah. They wanted to make it more utility, which I don't think they did particularly well.
No, they didn't, because the utility that they brought is DM dependent.
Right. Exactly.
As opposed to and can be overshadowed by backgrounds or by taking like one level of rogue.
Yeah.
And picking like survival as your expertise talent.
Yeah.
So but anyway, I think some defining thing like smite would help. So, and the fact that primeval awareness is basically like paladins detect good and evil, but it costs you a spell slot every time you want to do it. So imagine like if you had to burn a spell slot in order to use your divine sense, and that's basically what primeval awareness does in the book version.
That would make sense. I'm glad it isn't that way, but I could see it. I would never.
Oh, then it would be garbage.
I would never do it unless I was absolutely sure in my own mind that it would be worth it.
And it never is.
Well, and also they'd have to make it better for it to be worth a spell slot.
Yeah. No, I'm saying as is.
Yeah.
Because PHB primeval awareness is, and it's even worse than divine sense. So yeah. And then on top of that, takes a spell slot. But anyway, we have we've gone on far enough. Welcome, folks. Enjoy our pre-show, our half hour pre-show. So we should get started.
I just think that primeval awareness isn't that bad.
No, it's utter garbage.
It's not that bad.
It is utter garbage. It is the worst feature.
It's not that
and
bad.
That's saying, and Rangers easily have the worst capstone.
Most of the capstones suck.
But yeah, we'll get into that in a few weeks. Because we're going to talk about Druids tonight, who are not in any of
4 strength, 4 stam leather belt? Level 18?
Yeah.
Nice. For my druid.
Yeah. You're welcome. Do you want to come say hi to everybody on the stream? Okay.
Annyeonghaseyo. 저는 Joshua입니다. 저는 영어 선생님입니다.
All right. So, going live on the show in 5, 4, 3.
Oh, I gotta do an update
2,
to Discord.
1. Coming up on episode 114, a new trailer for Doctor Who. Telltale Games shuts down. World of Warcraft Tides of Vengeance, and much, much more on the 8-Bit Adventures podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the 8-Bit Adventures podcast, bringing you the latest and greatest geeky news of the week. I am your host, Sean Hayes, and my two wonderful co-hosts, as always, Courtney Bolin.
Hey, everybody.
And Josh York.
Hadouken! Did it.
So yes, thank you, stream watchers, for putting up with our extraneously long pre-show.
When the guys get going, it's just
just debating stuff that we'll get into several weeks from now in our Playing with Class series.
And that doesn't matter anyway, really.
No, it doesn't matter because I'm not even playing that version of the class anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, point of order. Hopefully, as the weather seems to have kicked in, we do not, lose the stream or cut out or have any unexpected power drops.
Yes.
Power outage.
Yes.
That's what I'm
That's
about.
the word you're looking for.
Yes.
Outage.
So,
You did it.
yeah. Why don't we get right into the news of the week then? So, I need to come up with a bumper for it at some point.
I'll do it. I'll just do that every time.
No, we'll come up with something cool. So,
What? That wasn't cool?
no.
Oh my god.
Hey,
No.
that reminds me of when we used to do that type of
That was we used to do that for
was what
Poke
we did
your
for
Poke News
Nintendo.
update.
I don't know what that.
Yeah.
Anybody, the scene? It's SpongeBob where he's on the beach, walking on the beach.
Stepping on the beach.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I watched a video once of that in a bunch of different languages. I don't know why, but it came up in my YouTube wormhole one day. Death Spiral.
Because it's fun.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens is we just get into a wormhole. You just
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. So, Doctor Who got a trailer for the new season with Jodie Whittaker. Looks good.
Yes.
Doctor Who?
Yes. Yeah, looks good.
I'm excited.
A couple things that I noted. One, I personally, I can see why they did the music that they did. I don't know if it worked for me, but it wasn't that much of an issue for me. I know that was a huge complaint with a lot of viewers. Also of note, the new season does not seem to be starting on Christmas.
Is it supposed to?
It usually does.
It does.
Yeah. As it
Doctor
starts,
Who knowledge is minimal.
As it
usually
starts,
with the Christmas special.
not this coming Sunday, but the following Sunday.
What?
I think it's the 9th, maybe?
We get it early?
Yes, we get it in October.
What?
So I was just like, they seem to just be breaking all the rules. They're like, well, if we're gonna make if we're gonna make a lady doctor, we might as well break every other rule that we have for Doctor Who.
That's not breaking a rule.
No, it's quote unquote breaking a rule. Just like quote unquote, having the new season, start at the regular new season time as opposed to during the mid-season break.
What are rules?
Indeed.
Yeah. Yep.
They're guidelines used to mete out punishment.
It's like rules are just like society's opinion, man.
Yeah.
I was waiting for that. I was waiting for that.
So yeah, I'm excited. We'll definitely be watching the premiere. My hope is that we're not away from home when that happens, so that we can watch it.
If you are, I'm coming over to your house to watch the premiere.
What do you watch Doctor Who on? Is it
BBC?
Okay.
TV.
Oh.
Yes.
Something
on cable.
I have a television to play PS4 on. That's about all you.
If we are home, we are more than happy to do a viewing party of some kind. So
yay! As long as I'm not working.
Yeah. Next up, World of Warcraft: Tides of Vengeance, which is the next big patch coming out.
Yeah. Horde defeats Alliance finally and rids the Azeroth of the scum of the world, and that's That's the end of Warcraft.
Even close.
And Sourfang rules forever.
No. Actually,
being silly, Josh.
So actually, what's happening is we're gonna go to what's the name of the palace?
Oh, Siege of Zuldazar.
Siege of Zuldazar.
We're gonna raid another Horde city because
they did mention that was just a working title. It did say title, not final.
Whatever. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. So we're doing that. It's going to be actually 2 separate raids, but for Horde and Alliance.
Kind of.
And that you will eventually be able to fight whatever bosses.
Yeah.
So the Alliance goes in and kills Rastakhan.
We don't know yet, but probably.
Or they probably depose Rastakhan.
Yeah, so how it starts is, I don't know, allegedly one of your last quests in your war front, or whatever, your war quest line is you put bombs on all our boats.
Yes.
And you're just waiting. So I think it starts with you blowing up our fleet.
Yep.
And then just sailing in and from the south and just rushing up, fighting bosses, eventually getting up to the top of the pyramid to fight King Rastakhan, who's the head of the trolls. At the same time, the Horde's like, oh crap, Alliance is here, and we're up north, and we come down from the north, and we fight our way up to the top, and somehow we meet, and something will happen there. Horde and Alliance aren't literally in there at the same time.
Yeah.
Actually
and then,
fighting each other, which would be really cool. Warhammer Online did do a thing like that.
Looks like the Horde at some point will take to the sea and then fight the Kultiran
I think
fleet.
What happens is, what my assumption is you guys will beat Rastakhan, or actually what I think is going to happen, I think Princess Talanji is going to kill him when she finds out that the deal he made with Bonsamdi. But whatever reason, that's when the whole battle shifts and the Horde starts pushing the Alliance back out. Or the Alliance is just like, okay, we came what we did to do and leaves. And we chase them.
You know what?
I'm not sure.
I'm totally fine with saying, okay, all right, job's done. Now let's leave this place forever. I don't want to come back here.
Why Rasta? Why? I don't, whatever. But not that I have a connection to that character. So yeah, and then Horde pushes you out fighting bosses along the way. And then somehow there's going to be a battle out on the ships in the ocean.
Yeah.
And the Horde gets to fight against Alliance commanders, including one Miss Admiral Jaina Proudmoore.
Yep.
I really hope we get to kill her.
I doubt that's going to happen because similar to.
Doubt that.
So here's the thing. Similar to like what we think is Princess Talanji taking over. I mean, that's basically what happened in Jaina's whole arc. Because at the end of the arc, she's named the High Admiral.
Well, I think Jaina's got a bit of plot armor right now. She's just had too much build up and development to get
probably. I mean, it's also early. Like because I could see them doing a sort of Drust raid in the future. And in order to do that, like you kind of need Jaina.
Well, I think I should say, in addition to this Zuldazar raid, we are getting a mini 2-boss raid. Shrine of whatever, Shrine of Seas, Sea of Shrines.
Yes, it has to do with
under that octopus shrine over on.
It has to do with the stuff under Stormsong Valley.
Stormsong Valley, that's right.
So
yeah, it's a 2-boss raid.
Yeah, dealing with old god stuff.
Yeah, well, there's no old gods. This is a faction war expansion, Sean. No old gods.
If you're saying that, then clearly you have not played through Stormsong Valley. Because there is even a basically Cthulhu-esque storyline. That's like a side storyline in Stormsong Valley, where it's just like some random guy hiding out on an island somewhere, and he like talks about how, you know, like when you actually progress through the questline, he's like, oh, this was a hollow victory and it was short-lived, for death claims us all one day, kind of a thing. And it's like, geez, man, you know, like, I just beat a general of the old gods. Like, can you not bring it down?
Can you not?
Please.
Well, I mean, the current raid, Uldir, isn't old god stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
It's all old stuff. I mean, we all know it's what's the guy who are we fighting? Nazoth? Is that the one?
So Nazoth is the big one, and then the one in the raid is Gahoon.
Yeah, but he's not a real old god. He is.
He is. He's just the byproducts of.
He's an accidental old god.
Yeah.
So it's Nazoth is the one, right?
Nazoth, yes.
Okay, I forget what one. They all have very similar names.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, everyone knows that's probably going to be the last boss of the expansion. Probably.
So this is something that goes with the expansion, but is just like
so
every expansion's kind of got its own story, overarching story arc, and other arcs within it. But usually, each time a raid comes out, it has its own kind of story that adds on to the overarching arc of the expansion.
this is like if you get a season pass to something, like this is another.
You pay your monthly subscriction.
Yeah.
So you don't have to pay for Tides of Vengeance. It's just a content update that gets added in.
Like every few months, they have a major content update where they'll add like new dungeons or raids or whatever. So in addition, we're also getting a new Warfront, whatever.
Dark Shore, Night Elves versus Forsaken.
They're
I'm
very
excited.
meh, the Warfronts. It's okay.
I like them.
It's kind of boring, but hopefully there'll be some nice story. Maybe I'll be interested in that to see what's happened after Elder Soul's been burnt. Yeah.
Additionally, new story content, including we finally get to find out what happens with Dusty Boy.
Who's Dusty Boy?
Vol'jin.
Oh yeah.
With our one Dusty Boy.
Well, I have a feeling that'll be important with the Zuldazar.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm quite confident.
Yep.
There's been some data mining, some interesting stuff. Lines of dialogue.
Yeah.
Basically, Vol'jin's like, everyone's like, Vol'jin, why did you name Sylvanas War Chief? He's like, the spirits. They're like, what spirit? He's like, I don't really remember. He's like, I was dying. He's like, I was dying. Just something was whispering to me. I assumed it was Aloha. So you go around, you go to Bonsomdi, and you're like, hey, were you the one who told Vol'jin? Bonsomdi's like, no. He's like, I like death, but there's got to be a balance, and Sylvanas is tipping it too much in one direction. Yeah. And she has a tendency of keeping the souls she kills anyway.
Yes.
And then you go to Air, the Valkyr goddess.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, was it you? And she's like, definitely not.
No,
get out of here before I kill you.
Yeah. Definitely not. Sylvanas tried to enslave me in order to claim all of my Valkyr.
Oh, and then you go to Bolvar, and Bolvar's like, no, leave, or you'll you're part of the Scourge forever. And he basically chases you out of Northrend. So you go to like all the major death people, and you're like, were you the one? And the whole thing is like,
wait, is this like going to everyone and being like, are you my mother?
Basically, anybody involved with like death in the afterlife, you're going and talking to them like, hey, what's up with this one spirit? And each one of them keeps telling Vol'jin like, hey, Vol'jin, you're changed and super powerful now. But they don't say what or how or why. They're just like, you've changed a lot.
What if Vol'jin is the newest Loa?
That's what I think a few people.
He is the new Loa of Kings since Rizana is now, right. I don't know.
That would be cool.
A dungeon boss.
Get him. He needs to. I can't do his voice right now, but he needs to come back.
Yeah.
He's the best.
He should be the Loa of buddies.
And then
he's the Loa that represents best friends.
Other stuff that I was talking with you, and we said we hope that Jaina fight basically ends with Thrall just showing up.
Yes, we were talking about that before our game. Yeah, that would be great if Thrall shows up and basically like puts the Alliance of the Horde in corners and just like, you all need to sit down.
Yeah, he's got his like
Sit
elemental
down.
powers back, and he just like splits the ocean and puts all the boats on each side. He's like, "Hey,"
and he's like,
we have
"Okay,
bigger things to
Jaina,
deal with now."
Jaina, I'm sorry, I screwed up, and you, Sylvanas, calm down, stop it."
And no, Sylvanas is beyond talking to at this point. I'm pretty sure.
I think if Thrall showed up with full elemental fury, she might be like, "Oh no."
Remember what I did to Garrosh?
Yeah,
I done messed up.
yeah. Thrall would just be like, "Do you know what happens to a war chief that's struck by lightning?
Here's
the same thing that happens to everything else that's struck by lightning."
Here's a better way I would like to see this go down for Thrall's redemption.
Yeah.
He challenges Sylvanas to Makara or whatever.
Yeah.
And he does it correctly this time.
And she cheats, and he beats him anyway. He beats her anyway.
Cheats. She uses some undead BS.
Yep.
Right? But he does it like the legit orc way.
Yep.
And like for some reason, Sourfang's there watching. I don't know what he should be.
Saurfang
come back.
Saurfang gives him his axe, and then Thrall's dual wielding Doomhammer and Saurfang's axe.
And then shamans can use to get Titan's grip. Yes, sure. Or Thrall never becomes a shaman again. He just becomes a warrior.
No, I don't know if they would do that.
He never gets the elemental spirits to speak to him.
I mean, maybe not. Maybe.
Oof,
maybe.
That would be rough.
Here's an idea. Bear,
no.
Stay with me. So, Thrall does not get the elements back, right? However, Thrall now pledges his life to the Loa of Buddies, Vol'jin.
Loa of
promising
buddies.
To make everyone friends again.
Yes.
And thereby increasing Vol'jin's power. And so Thrall becomes the first orc shadow hunter for Vol'jin.
Vol'jin is a Loa of friendship.
The Loa of friendship.
There's so much friendship in this Doomhammer.
Or again, stay with me. Vol'jin becomes the Loa of shamans, specifically.
Actually, by the way, there's no more Doomhammer, now that I think about it.
Oh, that's right.
All those weapons were destroyed.
Yeah.
Or just
rendered. No, the power was just sucked out of them.
Yeah, they were just rendered.
Now it's just hammer.
Yeah.
I think Thrall can have it back. It makes a great paperweight. Or you could still hit people with it. I mean,
it's still probably hurt.
It's just not super powerful. It's just a big block of iron with a stick in it.
Well, so a couple other things in this patch. A bunch of heritage armor. I think Blood Elf and
Dwarf.
And Dwarf. The Dwarf one actually looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'll say the Forsaken one is whatever.
I don't know if there's Forsaken.
Oh, you know what it was? It's not Forsaken. It's the new Warfront armor skins. Yeah. Have like a Forsaken look. I don't particularly care for it.
But I like this idea that they're going to do heritage armor for the base races as well. It's not just going to be an allied race thing.
Oh yeah,
that'll be nice.
They should.
So that makes it super cool. Like, so that way it rewards players that have been playing for a long time.
And actually, to get the Blood Elf one, you have to all of them. You have to go through a scenario or whatever.
Yeah.
But the Blood Elf one is like you got to. It involves Arthas's attacking.
Yeah.
The wherever they're from. I don't know what their city's called.
Nobody
goes there. Nobody goes there.
Silvermoon City.
It's so far out of the way.
And I think we were also talking about the fact that something sets up like what could potentially be a siege of Silvermoon.
Oh.
I forget what it was that sets that up, but it's possible that may happen.
Kael'thas back again.
You know what?
I wish.
I kind of wish too.
I kind of like KT.
It just say like the defeat of the Burning Legion was merely a setback.
Again,
maybe the old gods resurrect him.
But it did start with him just wanting to like save his people.
Oh
like,
yeah,
we're addicted to magic. I need to do something.
Yes,
I'm gonna help Illidan.
I think it was he got his people addicted to magic in the first place too.
Yeah, he did. He did. Yes, I got my race addicted to magic.
Yes.
Help!
Illidan! It's Kael'thas. Kael'thas is basically like the one who knocks. He's
I done messed up.
He's like the Heisenberg of World of Warcraft. But yeah, and then I think there's like a couple more items and new profession stuff.
Oh, what about the whole controversy about the new mount for the what's it, 6-month sub or something like that? Have you seen that?
Oh yes, I did see that. So number one, rolling it out has kind of been a disaster.
Yeah.
Because
what's the new mount?
So the idea is if you sign up for like a 6-month subscription where it just renews every 6 months rather than like monthly or every 3 months or whatever, is you get a mount that is like a ghost ship that has like wings on the side. It's almost like a weird airship weatherlight kind of thing.
It's a bit gaudy and garish, but
it's big. I mean, the advantage with like the Alliance gunship or the Horde gunship is that it also seats 2 other people, and this is a single seater.
I mean,
and it's the same size as those mounts.
The other thing about subbing for 6 months is you save a little bit of money. I think you get like
you
save like a month's worth of subscription or something like that.
Yeah, it's
over
like,
the course of a year.
It's like $12 a month instead of $15 a month or something like that.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Fine. And I don't know. A lot of people are like, "Oh, you shouldn't get a mount for like who cares?" I don't see what the big deal with this is. Who cares?
So I don't. It's one of those things where I think people are thinking that it should just be on the store or something.
It probably will be.
It probably will be. I'm honestly surprised that. I mean, I can see, because I often argue about my website hosting or whatever is like being able to do monthly instead of like having to pick an extended period. But I think for something like Warcraft, where, you know, if you're playing it, chances are, you know, you can afford that stuff.
I also I forget. I was watching some WoW YouTuber and they were talking about like this is also a business move by Blizz because we're a month into expansion now.
Yep.
And why not get people to sub for another 6 months? Because traditionally, if you look, this is the point where subs start dropping off again after the initial spike.
Yep.
And they're like, this has happened in every expansion, including Lich King, the most popular one.
Oh yeah.
So every time,
it's after the big rush. Yeah.
So business wise, let's give an incentive to keep on for another 6 months, right in the spot where people always start unsubbing.
Yeah.
So
well, and honestly, it makes sense that they would like push that. Like
it makes. Let's put it this way: on with the exception of the time that I was unsubbed. Like I've always gone with a 6-month subscription kind of a thing. The issue for me was my sub had renewed the day before this thing was announced.
You should still get it, I'm pretty sure.
So here's the thing, right? That's what I thought. And then like 3 days went by and I kept checking. I had to put in a support ticket because it never came. Kind of a thing. And once I put in the support ticket, like Blizzard support was actually really helpful. They got it to me right away.
They are.
Super helpful. Boom. Big shout out to them. But it's the thing where when you get enough complaints about people that have been subbed that didn't get it automatically, that they put a specific button as a topic for why are you contacting support said, I did not get my Dreadwake mount.
Yeah.
It's something to think about the next time something like this is implemented, to have the infrastructure in place to make sure that it's going to work properly. So yeah. My biggest gripe is the fact that a cool mount like that ties into more of the Stormsong Valley storyline is given to everybody, versus the fact that the Alliance mounts this expansion are horses and griffins that have no new design. Like the horses are technically the higher res model.
You're the Alliance.
But they don't even have armor on them.
That's what you ride. That's what the Alliance rides.
No.
Yep.
They could have done something cooler.
Nope. We get wolves and cool things. You guys get horses.
You guys got.
We get a lot of wolves.
You guys got pterodactyls.
Lame.
What?
And I think it's basically you guys got entirely new mount models this expansion.
Honestly, the only mount I use is my sky golem.
Well, yeah, because you can pick herbs, yeah. But like for the Alliance, I mean, and it's basically in other expansions the Horde thing where like you guys got wolves or something, and the Alliance maybe got something cooler or whatever. But yeah, it's 3 horses and 3 griffins, and the griffins aren't even new models; they're the same models from Cataclysm.
Did you see the new armored white saber tiger thing? It's a PvP mount. It's actually really cool.
I did not see that.
If you play a night elf, that would probably be a really nice mount to have.
Probably.
Yeah, but you got to
PvP.
It sounds pretty.
Yeah. But yeah, they could have done something cooler for Alliance. And like and having, if the Alliance got boats. Also, the boat doesn't water walk. It's not a water walking mount. However, if you played
shaman, I don't need that.
If you played through Legion and you got the Underlight Angler, which is the artifact fishing pole, right? And you leveled up all the traits and everything so that you turn into a fish when you go underwater so that you get water breathing and an increased swim speed. If you are mounted and you equip the Underlight Angler, it will not change you into a fish, but it will still give you the water breathing and the increased movement speed. You can make it look like, you're sailing on the high seas. Because you'll move pretty fast, and then the boat like sits out of the just out of the water kind of a thing. Yeah. But so yeah. So the Dreadwake, and I think there was also a parrot pet that was introduced in the shop.
Yeah. Dumb, I don't care.
I haven't picked it up.
You don't care about a cute parrot pet?
Nope, I don't care about any pets.
There are some mounts that I don't know if I ever have extra spare cash just lying around that isn't better used elsewhere. There are some mounts that still look pretty good in the store from Legion.
The one mount I wanted so bad for my shaman was the stupid. It was on Timeless Isle, like the black dragon with the lightning around it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've got that.
I just thought it was the whole lightning motif really fit.
Yeah,
my shaman, especially with the transmog I wear, I thought it would look really good, but I could never get it to drop, and it's such a pain.
Yeah. Yep. So that's Tides of Vengeance, which I think wasn't Warcraft 2 called Tides of Vengeance?
Maybe.
So I love all the callbacks to Warcraft 2 in this expansion.
Well, the cover of the expansion.
It makes me sad that that Zul'jin cannot be a part of it.
Best. I take back. He is best troll.
Zul'jin.
Him and Vol'jin are tied.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
For me, they're both great.
Zul'jin was the guy that back when trolls, before they gave them the like fake Jamaican accent, was they had like this weird. It was almost like mobster kind of accent.
Really?
Yeah, in Warcraft
like
2,
goblins?
Zul'jin would say things like, no, he would be like, say hello to my little friend.
Oh, he was Cuban.
Little kind of something like that. Yeah. You want X? But yeah, it was
cut off his own arm. He's the best.
Yes, and just left his eye out when his captors took out his eye.
I should play him on Heroes. I haven't played him in a while.
He's pretty good. He's pretty good.
Him.
Auto
attacker.
Oh, we don't have this in the show notes. But speaking of Heroes, there's a new comic.
Oh,
this is the third comic that they've put out for Heroes of the Storm.
They just did a pretty. They're in the middle of some type of event right now.
Yep. Yeah, I believe.
Played a couple games yesterday.
Or did it just start?
Yes, I think.
Yeah. So I believe it's tied directly to the comic, which is
it's like Raven something.
Yeah, so the Raven Court, which is like one of the maps, and the Raven Lord are going on a conquest to conquer the other realms. And so his 4 horsemen are going out and conquering the realms, and the 4 horsemen are like Alexstrasza and Zarya,
Maiev,
Maiev,
I
and
picked Maiev as my quest.
and I think Whitemane.
Yes, Whitemane is the other
And
one.
they're all like special like Halloween themed skins.
Oh, fun!
And the first one that they go to claim is King's Rest, which is like in the same domain as Dragonshire. And so you find out in the comic that the dragon statue in Dragonshire is like the queen's husband, like got turned into a dragon statue.
Oh, he just was turned into stone.
Yes. Well, and turned into a big dragon man.
Yeah.
That you possess.
Yes, and that actually happens in the comic, is that the Raven Lord like possesses him and turns him against his own forces. Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty cool. They're expanding upon the lore. I guess comic 2 focused on Deckard Cain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, who's just like, I don't know what's going on, but we should go see the queen.
Surprise! Deckard Cain doesn't know what's going on. Story of his life.
But he's like, oh, this is a great evil. We must stop it.
Yeah. They made a bunch of changes to some heroes, like Brightwing got a revamp.
Yep.
Kerrigan got a revamp.
Yep.
I thought Kerrigan was fine. I don't know. Maybe a little weak, but her playstyle was fine. I didn't play her that much, though. I know I've been playing a lot of lately. I've been playing a lot of Nova.
Really?
Yeah, and I like it.
Interesting.
What?
I almost got her to 15.
Nova's the stealth sniper.
Yeah, she's actually not bad. She's not bad. Her burst is really good. The thing about stealth is stealth kind of sucks because everyone can see you super easy.
Yeah, because it used to be the case.
If you can position yourself and get good angles on squishy targets, you can be real scary. And as long as you're good about positioning yourself and juking people and faking them out with your holograms and whatnot. But I've been on a quest to get a lot of my guys up to 15. Her, and I've been playing like Gul'dan too.
Yeah.
But heroes always fun. I play that game almost. I play at least a couple matches a day usually. Yeah. Almost every day I play some heroes.
I haven't played heroes since before the Whitemane patch.
So you haven't seen Mephisto in action?
I have not seen Mephisto in action.
He's annoying, super annoying.
I can imagine.
And everybody gets tricked by a stupid teleport every time.
Yep.
It so frustrates me.
Yep. But I have started playing Fortnite just as an off casual thing. It's weird. I don't get the current format. Because I'm coming from
much of my day I spend arguing with middle schoolers about Fortnite.
Yeah.
Do you know how much of my day? Do you want to know how much of my day is spent listening to parents say, "Grr, I can't believe I'm buying my kid more money for stupid skins in this game."
Well, then, yes. V-Bucks.
Yep, all them V-Bucks.
Yep. No, I'm not spending any money on it or whatever. But I'm coming at it.
You don't want cool skins or fun dances?
No. No, I'm not spending any money. The idea was to go in, like, I watched videos of PUBG before it released, of people playing it, like popular, like podcasters and stuff. I would watch play, and that seemed pretty interesting.
Dr. Disrespect?
No. No. And that seemed like an interesting idea. And then, there was the whole Wizard Unknown's Battlegrounds concept from Penny Arcade.
You want to know what would get me into this game? A slight variation on it would make it like Heroes or Dota or League or Overwatch, where you get different like you get different heroes or whatever, you get different sets of abilities, and then I might be into it. But for me, it's just a shooter for me. It's just too samey. There's nothing that different about every match, in my opinion. From what I've watched, the reason I like Heroes and Dota and League and those types of games is, even though the maps, except for Heroes because the maps are all different, but even in League and Dota, like the map's the same every time, but different heroes make for completely different dynamics, different item builds make for different games. Like every game is totally different.
Yeah.
And you still get that, and you get the little dopamine rush of leveling up every game and the whole feeling of building power and all that. That's why I like those types of games.
Yeah.
You do it for the dopamine.
Everyone does.
And
I was going to say, who doesn't?
And I don't necessarily disagree with that. I just think, like, for one thing, I like Fortnite's art style. I
can see you being into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminded me almost of like a Wind Waker-esque style thing. But yeah, and it's goofy, you know. So I'll go in, pop in.
I'll give that. It doesn't take itself super seriously.
Yeah.
Which I'll give it credit for that for sure.
I like the font in the title. I actually brought this up
because I like the font.
So yeah, wow.
Someone studied art in school.
I was gonna say someone's graphic designer is showing.
And not formally trained as a graphic designer, fun fact. But anyway, I bring this up because Sony Interactive Entertainment, SIE, which is their formal name, has finally caved to consumer pressure.
I can't believe
they're gonna play well with others.
Yes,
I can't believe they've done this.
They are going to allow crossplay as of right now for just Fortnite.
When I saw
there is no word for any other
was
game
just like,
yet.
Are you kidding me? Sony is going to play with us.
Everyone's hoping this will also pave the way for Rocket League and other cross-platform games to actually be cross-platform.
There's probably I would think of Neverwinter would probably be one, or Final Fantasy 14. Those MMOs would probably be ones that well, maybe not Neverwinter because that's probably not as big, but Final Fantasy 14 is still pretty big. That would probably be one to do.
Well, and this is also well, I think with the MMO, like, because I presume that with something like Neverwinter, you would use the same account that you would use on PC.
No idea.
I don't know.
But the issue was, like, with Fortnite, you couldn't. Like, your PS4 account is distinct currently from your account on PC or Switch or Xbox or whatever. But yeah, so they are finally going to be changing that up.
They're gonna learn how to play with
they're gonna play nice because everybody was yelling at them for like the past month and a half or so.
I think this is a sign of weakness on Sony's behalf, and they needed to backpedal and go back to their original stance.
You say weakness, I say that they are following in the footsteps of our Lord and Savior, the Loa of friendship, Vol'jin.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Nintendo.
Yeah, I kind of did too.
Where's Reggie?
Actually.
What does Reggie say?
I don't believe Nintendo has had any comment on this. So, no. But yeah. In sadder news, Telltale Games is
it that sad?
Well,
are their games even that good? Who cares?
I haven't played any of them. From what I hear, is there is enough folks that don't believe they are that great, and that Telltale was focusing more on their sort of like games as a seasonal kind of a thing. But basically they have laid off something like to the tune of 250 employees. No severance packages currently. And keeping, I think, about 25 employees to sort of quote unquote wrap up production on Walking Dead, releasing that. But then I guess recently attempting to contract out other studios to finish other projects. A lot of folks aren't happy. And yeah.
I can't imagine why.
Yeah.
Well, if you're one of the people who got laid off, you should certainly be angry. And I had read something. I think at least one or several are suing them because they didn't give them any warning. And in the state of California, it's illegal not to like give 60 without giving a 60-day heads up or something like that.
Yeah, well, and I think it's also you have to give like 60 days worth of pay or something like that.
Something, yeah, maybe that's what it was.
Oh, because
yeah.
they didn't get severance
I think
packages.
you have to give notice
scanned the article
and
very quickly.
yeah. But yeah, it's basically there is some sort of right to closure or right to layoff notice.
Yeah.
That's a law in California. And
That's a kind of cool law.
it's a class action lawsuit that's being filed that they did not follow this. So I think that class action lawsuit will go pretty well in the workers' favor.
Probably.
I would think so. Yeah.
So yeah.
Because unless something's written down, it's not noticed.
Yeah.
The only Telltale game I ever played was the first chapter of Tales from the Borderlands. It was fine.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. Those games are T.
This does mean there will be no continuation of The Wolf Among Us. As Walking Dead is the last game slated to be produced. So
well, and that's a little bit sad.
It is even more so when you look at the fact that one Ashley Johnson is heavily involved with that project.
Which one?
No.
Walking Dead.
Oh, really?
She voices like one of the main characters.
No, I had no idea.
I think. Oh wait, no, that's Last of Us.
It's Last of Us,
Which is not Telltale.
Which is not Telltale.
No.
Never mind. Scratch that. I've been so confused.
You're confusing zombie games.
There's too many zombie games. One zombie game is too many zombie games. There, I said it. All right.
Oh no.
Moving on.
10 years ago. Now, yes.
Now, yes. But moving on. Netflix. Netflix has gotten all sorts of goodies. Daredevil had a trailer today for season 3 coming out on October 19th.
I've heard of that. What is Netflix?
But yeah,
is that like Blockbuster?
Yes, it is like Blockbuster but red.
Oh, okay.
It is Blockbuster for the Horde.
Here.
Yeah.
Blockbuster for the Horde. Oh, that's why it's better.
But yeah, so we got a trailer. We see Wilson Fisk, as well as Matt Murdock in it. Some kind of Murdock burning something and then throwing stuff in the fire. Not quite sure what it is, but then pulls the hood over. So yeah. And then on November 22nd, we get a new season of Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Woot!
I'm super excited. I thoroughly enjoyed the newest season of that.
I've never been into that show. I don't know why.
It's fine.
Really?
It's not for everybody.
I remember when I was younger being on TV occasionally.
Yep.
And I was just like, what is this? Why are these silhouettes making fun of the movie? This movie I've never even heard of.
Yeah.
And it was kind of funny.
For good reason.
And I was just like...
Because those movies are terrible.
But it never like... I don't know. It never was super, super funny. But it never really made me laugh out loud. It was always just like, oh, that was like clever.
It's like, that's a thing they said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, some episodes are better than others. I distinctly remember one in which they were riffing on one of the Gumby cartoons, where it was Gumby gets a bunch of robots.
What?
to do yard work for him. Yeah. Totally worthy of it. Yeah.
It's awesome.
So.
I remember watching Gumby as a kid, but I don't remember any of the plots.
Oh yeah, I vaguely.
They were very simple
watching...
plots.
Yeah, I remember it existing. I remember watching it.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you a single Gumby story.
I just remember
plot of an episode.
It wasn't until later on that they got the dinosaur guy, and I remember hating previous episodes to that because I was like, I don't care about horses. Where is the dinosaur?
Of course.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know. I watch so many things that half the time I think they're manic dreams nowadays.
David the Gnome. I used to watch that all the time, but I couldn't tell you what the plot of any of those was. Does anybody remember David the Gnome?
I do remember the David the Gnome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
This little gnome, little old man gnome, rode around on a fox.
Yeah.
I assume
Nope.
helping people.
Yes.
I don't.
It was very much in the style of like a lot of.
I remember.
It was in the style of a lot of like Jim Henson's stuff, where
Yes.
like there'd be some problem, and then he and the other gnomes would enlist the help of like forest creatures to solve the problem, and then at the end of the day, it would be good. It was it was children's programming.
Oh, here's one thing I do know about that. It had only as an adult I've seen it because it's come up on my YouTube death spirals.
You say it like it's a bad thing.
Even I don't get David. How do I make this happen?
It's just the things I'll randomly pop up and I'll look for. It just makes them all show up in my whatever. The ending, the series finale of David the Gnome is like really like dark and like a bit real and morbid. It's like David the Gnome dies.
Yeah.
What?
He's like, oh, I'm going to die now. And he's like saying goodbye to his fox. And like the end of David the Gnome is just him dying.
What?
I mean, it's done in the kiddie way, but it's like it's not sugarcoating. It's like, oh yeah, I'm dying now. This is it.
Yeah.
What?
So like him and his wife. It's like him saying goodbye to his wife, or him and his wife are dying. I forget, something like that.
What? Oh my gosh!
But it's like legit and gets really real at the end. Things
get real.
Yeah,
I mean, it's. I mean, there's kids. Sesame Street had it with. I'm gonna name him Courtney.
Mr. Hooper.
Mr. Hooper.
Yep.
I don't remember watching Sesame Street as a kid.
I very rarely watched Sesame Street.
I remember it being around, but I don't think I ever watched it.
Yeah.
No, see, I was a PBS kid for a large majority of my childhood. So yeah.
I watched a lot of G.I. Joe. And again, nothing I could not tell you the plot other than blue lasers and red lasers flying across the screen at each other.
We watched a lot of Ninja Turtles and the Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
Nope.
And then obviously was the whole Saturday morning
did
cartoon.
The Mario. And we swung our arms from side to side. But that's it for the news for this week. It was a lot of stuff came out today. There was a lot of items.
Oh, real quick, just
yes.
I know I wasn't here last week.
Yeah.
Oh yes, right. The Sony, the PlayStation Classic.
The attempted replacement of me as co-host with maybe objectively better Joey Image. I don't know. But I did want to, because the whole PS1 Classic thing kind of came out of left field, and I wish I would have had a chance to speak on it. But I haven't done one of these in a while. My question of the week is, what games would you like to see on the PS1 Classic? We already know we're getting Final Fantasy VII. What else we get? Like Ridge Racer. What else was announced? I forgot. Those are the only two that come to mind. Announced.
For me, all right. So again, full disclosure, never had a PlayStation growing up. The closest I came to was like a PS2 that I bought for DDR Max 2 after a breakup one time, so that I would exercise. Yeah, that's about like the extent that I have. That was the only game that I bought. Used it twice. It's now sitting in a box.
Don't rag on Just Dance.
No, I'm not.
No.
I'm not.
Oh no.
I'm not ragging on it.
It was legitimately.
It is great. It is great.
It was legitimately a way to get me to exercise.
I'm not ragging on Just Dance at all. I think Just Dance is amazing, and one of these days I'm going to bring it to game night.
Okay, but
prepare to get wrecked.
I will say it's a little difficult because like I would have said, I mean, obviously Final Fantasy VII and Wild Arms, which is also going to be on there.
Oh, Wild Arms.
So I have to say it's and I can't remember the name of it, but we have discussed this RPG before, and it's one in which you've got like the 8 storylines. It's something like that, yeah.
Saga Frontier.
Yes. I hope it has Saga Frontier.
Doubt it, because that was a very small game.
Do you mean in terms of like sales wise kind of a thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
As opposed to file size?
No. As far as like popularity and people knowing about it, because that's a very niche game.
Probably.
Even within the RPG community,
it's very JRPG.
Not a ton of yeah.
Because like my viewing of sort of PlayStation stuff was through magazines, and I remember one of the magazines that I had was like a big RPG special.
Yeah.
So they had Master of Monsters, which I could also see on there because I think that was on PlayStation. Breath of Fire 3, which would be another one.
3 or 4.
So this one was specifically Breath of Fire 3, Master of Monsters, and Saga Frontier. So actually, I would say any really one of those 3, I think would be good.
You would probably like Breath of Fire 4 a lot. I don't know if you're familiar with that one, but
I'm not.
You would probably like the art in that.
Yeah,
it's very colorful.
Yep.
It's pretty.
I like Breath of Fire 4 a lot. So I'm going to give you the correct answers. Metal Gear Solid. You got to have Metal Gear Solid.
That will probably be in there.
Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
20 games.
Was Symphony of the Night a PlayStation game?
Yes, it was.
It was. Why do I keep thinking it was like a Game Boy Advance game?
There might have been there were a lot of Symphony of the Night. That's when Castlevania switched from what it was, a side-scroller action game, to the Metroidvania deal. That was the first one that did it, and then they started making a lot of those on handhelds.
Yeah.
A lot of clone type.
Is it a 2D or is it a 3D game?
2D.
It's 2D. Okay.
It wasn't until the 64 where they started getting a little weird with those 3Ds.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the time placement period. Okay.
It would have been about the same time.
Yeah.
But on PS1 they did Symphony of the Night, and then after that on N64 they did a couple 3D Castlevania games. So Symphony of the Night, that's a huge classic game. Either Resident Evil 1 or 2. I don't think you put both.
Yeah.
Pick one.
I mean, they only have 20. There's only 20 games on it, so.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely got to be 1 or 2.
Twisted Metal 2.
Yep.
Twisted Metal 2 should be on there.
Yes, it should.
Sure. Pa-Rappa the Rappa.
Absolutely.
Should be on there. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. A lot of 2s.
Yep.
PlayStation had a lot of good sequels.
Yeah.
Going for it.
So wait a minute. Wait. You just said pick one. What is your one game?
Oh, one game? Oh no, there's a list of games that should go on there. My one game, if any. Oh geez.
I'm just saying what your question was.
Oh, I thought I said games.
Oh, okay. I may have misheard.
One of the Tomb Raiders should probably go on there.
Yeah.
Maybe Spyro.
I'm not sure if they're gonna do Spyro on that because Spyro the Reignited Trilogy is coming
out
in November.
And I think as much as they should do Crash because he was kind of the mascot for the PS.
But again,
but they just did last year, the year before.
The Insane Trilogy just came out.
Remake.
Yeah,
and the Insane Trilogy.
Street Fighter Alpha 3. You gotta have a fighter on there. Either that or a Tekken. Maybe a Tekken game would.
What about the old Monster Rancher?
Get out of here!
I don't.
That garbage.
I don't think Monster Rancher works on the classic because the whole point of that game was that you would put other CDs and stuff in there to get monsters from them.
Yeah. Let's see what else. Maybe like Oddworld Abe's Odyssey. That would be a cool little one. Oh, Medieval. Do you remember the game Medieval?
No.
You're like a little skeleton knight guy.
No.
Oh my god! You didn't play PlayStation, so you wouldn't have known it.
Right? We've been over this.
Yeah, that's right.
But we have discussed this.
Yeah. But so Courtney.
Yeah.
What are your games?
Yeah.
I have none. I literally the only game that I ever played for PS1 was one of the Spyro games. And I am very, very, very hesitant to think that they would even put that on it because, as I said, the Reignited Trilogy is coming out in November.
Yeah.
Other than that, like there were a couple games that I would play on the PS2. So we'll see if this one takes off.
Oh, the number one selling console of all time?
Yep.
Yeah. It's in Joey's room right now.
Oh,
Joey's not using it, but it's in his room. That's
I
where
use my
it's stored
PS2
right
as a
now.
PS1 essentially. I use it for both because you could backwards play on those.
Yes. Yep. The one.
Yeah,
that
be
I
careful
have
with the first gen PS2s. You would burn out the laser if you weren't careful by either playing DVDs or PS1 games on it too much.
Yeah.
They fixed that a little bit with the reissues of them, but
yeah.
God, there's so many PS1 games. Like I would say, put like Legend of the Dragoon and Suikoden 2, or there's a bunch of Mega Man Legends should probably go on there.
Yep.
Yeah.
That actually would be a good one because Mega Man Legends is a cult classic game. It's also a very rare game to find, like the physical copy of it.
Yeah.
That'd be like a nifty little one to put on there just to give people more access to it. It was a really cool game. That was when Mega Man went 3D. Did you ever play that? They had it on the N64. It was called Mega Man 64,
haven't, but again, I remember reading about it.
That's one of my brother Matt. That's like one of his favorite games of all time. Is Mega Man Legends. I would watch him play it a lot. There's a whole slew of RPGs, I would say, but I don't think they would put that many RPGs on it.
I don't know. Oh,
yeah, there's a lot.
Wait a minute.
There's lots of games.
We're overlooking Final Fantasy Tactics.
I would have said that, and that would have been my pick because that's probably my favorite Final Fantasy game. But 7 is just so iconic.
You do both. You put both.
They won't. And Tactics is another one of those niche games. It did get a greatest hits because it did sell 1 million copies, so it was a greatest hits. That happened towards the end of the PS1's life cycle.
Yeah.
I would like to see Xenogears. Probably number 2. That and Tactics Switch is my favorite RPG of all time.
I mean, you could do 20 RPGs to put on PS1.
Squaresoft. Why doesn't Squaresoft just put out their own thing?
They should.
There's all our classic. They should actually Squaresoft hire me, and I'm going to
not gonna happen.
Develop something for you.
It's not gonna happen.
Just pay me $1 million one time.
That's definitely not gonna happen.
And pay me 1 million yen.
Here's the thing. All they need to do.
That's like $100,000.
Just do what they did for the Switch, right? And take all of their old games and then just say we're giving them to everybody, right?
Except 8.
Except 8.
I wonder if they're doing something with 8, and that's why they're not.
Oh, one of you guys said a Tekken game. They are putting Tekken 3 on it.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yes.
Perfect. Good.
That's that's the one with little dinosaur with boxing gloves.
Yeah, there might be.
Gun.
Tekken is
and one of his attacks is he farts. I remember that growing up. My best friend had Tekken 3, and we would play as that.
What's his name?
And it had
I played the breakdance guy. Forget his name.
Eddie Gordo.
Eddie. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're on a fighting game thing. I was watching a lot of Evo, which is the big fighting game thing. It happened like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
I was just watching a lot of the Tekken. I'm not nowhere close to good enough, but I just like to watch because it's so interesting. And there's this one dude playing King. If you're familiar with King in Tekken, he's the leopard head guy. And he came really close to being the first American or first American in a long time to win Tekken. Like he got knocked in the losers bracket and then came all the way back and almost.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Nice.
And he was funny because he was like one of the only King players as well in the tournament.
That's cool.
Interesting to see.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, PS1 Classic. It would be cool. I actually might. It appeals to me a little more than the Nintendo Classic, but it depends. It depends what'll be on it.
It's $120 if you want to actually be able to play on one.
Oh yeah. It doesn't have the
no AC adapter.
The AC
what if you
power adapter?
What if you have an AC adapter?
It's probably gonna come
it'll say that I think they said that it will work with most cell phone AC adapters.
Okay. That's weird.
So
it's gonna have a mini USB?
I think so. That it was like a mini USB-C
or a micro USB, right?
Yeah.
That's weird.
It is weird.
I mean, if it has that, then that's
Sony, you had a golden opportunity to do something cool and you mucked it up.
Yep.
Why?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, they did.
Yeah, they did.
God. What are you, Nintendo now?
I actually saw it was as a criticism coming out with it. It was Sony does what Nintendo.
Exactly right. That is a Nintendo move. That's like a Nintendo or Apple move. It's like
no, that's
Sega
an Apple move.
Sega
all
does
day
what
long.
Nintendo don't, but Sony does what Nintendo.
Yeah. Jeez.
So
we'll see. It'll be another thing where like it depends what games are on it, and
yep.
if whether or not I have those in my actual collection.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I know that like I'm a little salty that it's going to be that much to
a bit much
play. Like yes, because it comes with 2 controllers, but seriously, like that's the only draw it has to it. To me, I mean, the price tag just completely tears me apart from it.
I think it'll be for collectors.
We're getting a remake of 7. Well, who knows how long that'll be?
Who knows?
But
yeah,
allegedly soonish.
And I think one of the other criticisms was like a lot of the games that they've announced have also come out for the whatever the classic games service is on PS4.
Well, yeah,
that's
is the other thing.
It's already
right?
in the shop.
Yeah,
and
you can
so
get all those games on PS. Yeah. I don't know if you can get the PS1. I haven't looked for a long time. I know I can definitely get them on my Vita for sure.
Yeah.
You still have a Vita?
Yes.
I should check to see if any of those RPGs are out for PC.
I actually have a note because the last time I played Suikoden 2, which was like 6 months ago, I knew I wasn't going to play it for a while again. So I'm like, go to this town. So I knew when I picked this up again, I would remember where I was supposed to go next.
So you knew where to go.
In the game. Yeah, go to South Windsor.
Nice. So, all right. So that's going to actually wrap up the news for this week.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So now it's time for This Week in 8-Bit Adventures. All right. As promised, we head back to Kitchen City Stadium.
Yeah.
To what we think is to wrap up this arc, but only to find that there are more intricacies in the plot, more twists.
Yeah. I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
So Courtney, would you like to give us the rundown on what happens?
Yes. So this week Melody is pretty ingenious, and she uses the steam from the tea that she made last week to create what was it, a clarity kind of
it's to create almost like a filter.
Yeah, where she could see what the actual pieces are, because every single other thing on the shelves was an illusion. So she was able to find all of the right pieces and put them together.
Right. You are leaving out a crucial point to this.
I was just about to get to it.
Which is Melody casts Zone of Truth on the sort of steam lens to make a makeshift Lens of Truth, which is an item from Ocarina of Time, where it's a magnifying glass that you look into stuff and it reveals hidden truths, kind of a thing. So that's fun.
Yes, and then on the other side of the panels, the chairman gets a letter or something, some sort of notification that Melody's parents are there.
They're not there. That they are going to arrive.
Yes, they're on their way. And like, oh my gosh, my head when I saw that was just like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen? What do they look like? What are they gonna do? How are they gonna react to her being on this show? And like all this other stuff. I'm so excited.
So a couple things for readers of the comic to remember. So number one, we've had previously where someone from wherever Melody's from has shown up. It was a little pixie person showed up and kind of arrogant, kind of classist, maybe a little racist, trying to get her to go back home. Melody gets really mad, does not want to go home. So that's something to keep in mind. Also to keep in mind, they're not referred to as like Mr. and Mrs. Starsong
No.
Lord and Lady Star song.
Yes.
That is also relevant.
Yes. Yes.
So, things to keep in mind.
I am so excited.
Yes.
So excited. I cannot wait to see what this brings.
Yeah.
So I'm just yes.
And this would be a little bit of insider info. Is what we're gonna see is basically the chairman stalling for time for them to arrive.
Oh.
So what that entails, we'll find out next week.
That will be interesting.
Yes. Now, whether it means that they just sort of draw out, because she did finish the challenge, so whether he pulls something out at the last minute, or
yeah, because she still beat it all in record time.
Kind of extends the ceremony, or draws it out, or does a controversial thing and says like, like the scores came in and they're not up to snuff.
Ooh.
And then they draw that out, kind of a thing. Don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows? I've mulled around all these ideas in my head, so I'm not giving anything away because we don't quite know what's going to happen yet. But I can say what the note was about was asking him to sort of stall for time so that they could get there. Presumably to have a chat with their daughter, and perhaps to try and take her home.
They're gonna try and take her home.
Yes,
it's not gonna work.
Yes, and I will say that there will be one more twist in this.
What?
Yes.
What?
There will be one more twist.
Sean, I don't know if I can handle another twist.
There will be more twists than one of those French, not French, but the braided bread, right? Yeah.
More twists than a crazy straw?
5 twists.
5 twists. What a twist. So yeah. So expect that. We did there was an art stream this week doing art for and what I'm going to call them as alternate costumes for Melody. Pastrymancer Melody as the Dice Camera Action did a contest to they were accepting applications to be part of the Chickenfoot Coven, which is sort of a group of magic users run by one of the members of that D&D group. I submitted Melody as the Chickenfoot Coven is likely going to be focused around cooking and baking, given that the group has come into possession of a bakery that they run. And so I was like, well, naturally, if I'm going to submit a character, I'm going to submit Melody Starsong as she's a bard that focuses on baking things. And I think this would provide value. Sadly, she was not selected. She was beaten out by a kobold who sells cooked goods made from things that live in the sewers. So if you've ever played Warcraft and you find like that little weird gnome that lives in like the Deep Run Tram that like you kill rats and then you give them to him and he gives you like rat kebabs. It's kind of like that. And then this guy will like run around like putting things in people's pocket. Like he'll put like rat kebabs in people's pockets. He got picked. A trans Shatterkai who knows a secret about the Raven Queen, and is kind of on the run from the Raven Queen, and a Loxodon cleric that wishes to learn more about cooking. So yeah, very, very. Compared to my character design, they were more interesting characters than an Eladrin that does baking magic. So yeah, I pity them for having to deal with a kobold and an elephant man. As Loxodons are from Ravnica. They're the big elephant guys from Magic the Gathering. So yes, they are in fact sort of like elephant-headed beings. So But yeah, so
That's
we almost got our own Melody Star song into Waterdeep, to help run a bakery out of the North District. So almost got a crossover, but
this close.
but it did produce some nice artwork that will be put up on the site. It's not up there quite yet. Tomorrow there will be an 8-Bit Adventures game night at the normal time, than I previously stated, as our dinner plans were canceled. So yeah, I think it will just be World of Warcraft again, unless I can find something interesting to play on Steam, as I don't have a capture card yet, so we can't watch me play Fortnite or Octopath Traveler or something. Or Overcooked. Or Overcooked 2, since we actually finished Overcooked. But so yeah.
Or I could let you borrow Valkyria Chronicles 4.
Maybe.
And you can play some of that.
Maybe.
Because I totally just picked that up today.
Or y'all can pick up Sentinels of the Multiverse on Steam and we could play that.
Or
I actually have that we could play tomorrow night.
We could
play tomorrow night.
We could have a tournament of ultimate skill.
Yes. Do you have a capture card? Because that is the crux of the problem. That is the reason why we can't do consoles, is that it has to be on a computer.
Well,
but
shoot.
No, Sean, we could legit
Yes.
play Sentinel tomorrow night.
Maybe.
If you wanted to.
So not quite sure what we're playing yet. Everyone will know when the stream goes live, but 8 p.m. Eastern time is when it starts. So that way it gives you enough time to watch that and then grab a snack before Critical Role.
Woo!
Crazy people staying up to all hours of the night. Man.
Usually
Midnight.
I try and make it until break.
I try to be in bed by 9 if I can.
Well, yeah, but
Well,
you have to be presentable for the general populace.
Yeah.
I don't. Also, it still gives me 7 hours of sleep, so that's totally fine. So, but yeah, and then comic for next week. I'm gonna work on sort of revamping the site a bit so that it includes like the show schedule, break things up a little bit so that the my portfolio is just like in one of those big boxes, and then maybe like streams and shows are the two other boxes, kind of a thing. Not quite sure yet. We're still working on it. And then I think next week. Or do we want to announce it this week?
Let's announce it now.
All right. So
announce it now.
Okay. So
train for a long time.
The current plan, we'll say,
as it stands
right now, is next Friday, October 5th. That's all right. Yes, October 5th.
Yes,
that sounds right.
Yep.
We're gonna be doing a new show. We are going to be doing our own Dungeons and Dragons game, streamed. That will also be done in video and podcast format.
Are we crazy? Yes.
We are crazy.
Do we do it for you? Yes.
No, we do it for us. No. And then we share it with. We're going to share it with the viewers. But we are jumping through a lot of hoops for the viewers. So that will be at 7 p.m.
Eastern
time. On October 5th is when that premieres. It will be called Tales of Jemmora, The Kraken's Wake.
And where we left it off last game, it should start off with
pirates. Yar! It'll be we're gonna start things off with a big old pirate fight.
Yeah.
This is gonna be fun.
I actually think Jacob's gonna try to negotiate.
No,
that's interesting. That makes things very interesting.
Oh, you missed. Jacobins had a bit of a change.
Jacobin's gonna get us all killed.
I love how
Jacobin's thinking about breaking his oath.
Whoa.
Oh, that makes things very interesting. Now I have to figure out if that makes you an oath breaker.
Well, Not yet. It's something I'm toying with in my head. I will definitely come to you first if I actually think Jacobin's going to do that, because that requires you to know. But
it's also
just
like
something that
it's
I've been
weird.
going through in my character's head.
Yeah. So I should mention, it's using the D&D 5th edition rule set. It is a sort of custom campaign of my own design. So you won't see, we're not going to go to Waterdeep. We're not going to go to Neverwinter or anything like that. But yes.
Now I have a goal.
You're going to try and go to Waterdeep? You're going to try and find Waterdeep in a world where Waterdeep doesn't exist?
I'm going to find, we're in the multiverse, son. We're fine.
No, it doesn't work like that.
We'll get there.
No.
Ask Perkins, it sure does.
Not in my game. No. So yeah. It has, I like to call it sword and swashbuckling. So it's a very sort of high seas adventure, sort of pulp action, with, I would say, high magic. And sort of a not quite to the point of steampunk-esque level technology. Draws a lot of inspiration from like Legend of Zelda, World of Warcraft, previous existing D&D stuff. So you can see elements of Ravenloft, you can see elements of the Forgotten Realms, elements of Eberron, and some things that kind of upend your expectations a little bit. So
yeah, my hope is that we are interesting enough as characters, at least us the players.
Yeah.
Are people are interested in our characters.
I don't doubt that the characters are interesting enough.
I mean,
at least half the party should be interesting enough.
I just think of the games when I used to have the time to watch Critical Role a lot and all that, and other games that I occasionally check in on. It's just, I'm usually interested in the characters, and this is me anyway in my reading and the media I consume. I'm always interested in characters and character development.
Yeah.
It's not always the premise or the plot. Sometimes that's what gets you in, but that's usually not what really hooks me in the end. It's what keeps me going through is the characters, and that's what's interesting. So I know personally I try very hard to play my character and make it interesting, not just for, well, now I know there'll be hopefully people watching, but just for me, because it'd be boring just to play the character the same way all the time. If Jacobin was the same from the beginning to the end, that would be super boring.
Yeah.
It'd be funny sometimes, but
but you need character growth.
Yeah.
So,
but I think most of our players do a pretty good job of playing their characters, and I hope that's
so the format of it is going to be we're going to stream the whole thing, and then the various episodes, right? So the sort of bingeable media, we'll say, will be released sort of in hour to hour and a half long chunks each week, right? So you get a podcast episode every week, you get a YouTube episode every week, but it'll be broken up so that way you're not having to sit down and listen to like a 4.5 hour session at a time. And that's due to our play schedule. It will be a bi-weekly stream. So, but I'm looking into other options for what we might do. Maybe do like a rebroadcast or something on the off weeks. But yeah, so very exciting that we can finally announce it. And we're hoping that nothing catastrophic happens in the week and a half until that date. So
we hope.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. That covers it for this week in 8-Bit Adventures. So now, let us resume our journey through classes in our Playing with Class series. Because this is Questlog. We are talking about Druids.
Do you like animals? Do you like nature? Do you love trees? Druid.
Alternatively, do you like mushrooms? Do you like spores?
Do you like raising the dead using your spore powers? Druid.
Yeah. So this week is druids. Druids are. So we talked about clerics.
Druids
2 weeks ago.
I kind of understand.
So druids are basically if you took clerics, right, and you applied them to sort of, so I'll say like old gods,
cleric, but you said no metal.
But we're not talking like Warcraft, like elder antediluvian Cthulhu style gods, more like wild gods and like primal spirits and stuff. And that's basically if you get a druid, because like they have more kind of ritualized stuff involved with their class. So yeah, can't use metallic armor. And I think they have very
straight up they can't.
Well, they're not proficient with it right off the bat.
Yeah, okay. I forget what the rule is.
It used to be in prior editions that they could not. Like they were not allowed to.
Most druids, I know most druids don't, but I didn't know it was a couldn't.
And they have specific weapon proficiencies that are related to sort of like ritual casting kind of stuff. So like I think they're proficient with like scimitars. It used to be sickles for like the harvest and stuff like that, as opposed to scimitars. But like staves, clubs, daggers, spear. But their main claim to fame, their two main claims to fame, is full casters. So they prepare their spells like clerics and wizards. Their spells kind of mirror clerics a bit, but instead of dealing with more like extraplanar entities of like dealing with holiness and unholiness and stuff like that, they're more about like in communing with the natural world, while still getting some healing and utility oriented spells.
But Sean, what separates them from why they just sounds like a wizard to me? Sounds like nature wizard. What else can they do that's so special?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Josh, because their second claim to fame is they get to turn into animals.
Wow!
Yes. And depending on which type of druid that you select, your wild shape can either be augmented or replaced with various features. So, yeah, and then
usually when I introduce a new player and I'm telling them, "Oh, here's different classes you can play," particularly with kids, because it's a lot of the new players. So
when you teach your class how to play,
it's when I introduce a lot of younger kids to the game, just because it happens to be within the realm of what I do. When I describe druid, I say you're a nature wizard and you can turn into animals. That's basically how I describe it.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's not far off.
That's about it in a real tiny nutshell. And
that's really most of the abilities that you get, because you don't get any other like base class features until much later.
Yep.
And then it's like you don't really age. You can cast spells while you're an animal, and you can use wild shape any number of times.
I always found the thing about druid, the more I've seen it played, and Druid is very strong early game.
Yeah.
Particularly because of your ability to turn into an animal and get that extra HP.
Yep.
Just because early levels are so dangerous because how low HP is early on, and that the druid basically gets a second health bar, kind of mitigates that to some extent. Mid level they kind of fall off a bit, but then late levels they come back and are like wizard strong casters.
I'd say I would imagine that they actually stay pretty competitive because their spell list is pretty decent.
Just from my experience, I feel like early very strong, mid they don't stand out as much as other classes do, and then towards the end they are right up there.
Yeah.
Just because of how strong high-level spells are by nature.
And so, because druids, they focus a lot on summoning, on sort of shape-changing, so polymorph, I believe they get alter self, stuff like that. So a lot of like transmutative type of spells. But yeah, they do get the problematic conjure woodland beings spell.
Yeah.
To summon 8 pixies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like a DM's dream.
Because why cast 1 polymorph when you can cast 8? So
yeah.
So there's that.
Oh, it turns out this fighter NPC also has fireball now.
That's totally a thing, though.
I for me personally, it would have been more. Well, it would be. I don't know, because it's still pixies. So, I would say that, and that's the one spell that druids get. I don't believe any other class gets them. Maybe rangers do.
Ranger might,
but yeah, that the simplest solution is to just say, hey, just don't summon pixies. All right, everything else is fine. Because like if you summon sprites, it's like, what are they gonna do? Shoot a 1 damage sleep arrow?
Pixies can't survive in this world. They die as soon as they're summoned.
That's just wrong and traumatic.
Sounds right to me.
How dare you?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so keeping in those themes in mind, they sort of focus on what the various subclasses for Druid are. So the first one that we have is the Circle of the Land, which is, you're basically a geomancer, right? Is that you draw power from whatever terrain that you're in or attuned to, and it gives you certain abilities related to that. So things like
they're an earthbender?
No, because that's an elemental monk, and we'll get to that later in the series.
Yeah. Yeah, D&D's got you covered.
Yeah, this is more like
watched that show too.
Yeah. This is like you're not hampered by natural terrain. You're immune to you can't be charmed or frightened by elementals or fae. You're immune to poison and disease. Like at high level, beasts and plant creatures like don't want to attack you.
Oh.
Because they recognize you as a servant of the natural world. And you get natural recovery, which is kind of like being a wizard. But you just have to focus on nature and commune with nature. You also get bonus spells based on sort of the terrain that you attune with.
Okay. All
yeah,
right,
and that's selected when you... So you select up to 4 of them. And so that gives you bonus spells that you have prepared that may not necessarily be on the druid list.
So
yeah. So that makes you more of like a full-on, like, I'm going to focus on spell casting kind of a thing, and Wild Shape's going to kind of take a backseat. On the flip side, we have the Circle of the Moon, which is, yo, dog, I heard you liked animals. So we're going to give you an expanded animal list where up at the very end, you get to turn into a Tyrannosaurus. Oh, wait, no. No, I'm sorry.
What's the CR on that?
You never get to turn into a Tyrannosaurus. My apologies. You do get to turn into an Ankylosaurus, I think is the top one. It tops out at CR 6.
That's pretty high.
So yeah, Tyrannosaur is like CR 8. So, but yeah, so basically
you'll have polymorph at some point. Don't worry.
Yes,
I was gonna say you'll have polymorph. So there you go.
but yeah, you get to wild shape faster. Your attacks as an animal get better. You can turn into an elemental.
Yeah, which gets really fun.
At high level, you can just alter self at will. Which, that's strong for espionage.
That's very strong.
Yes. Because it's not an illusion, it's a transmutation. So you physically change into whatever form.
Is your charisma high enough? Pull it off.
Maybe, maybe not. But the thing is that if you're... I mean, that's if like you're turning into somebody specific, usually.
Yeah.
But I mean, you could just decide like, I want my hair to be blue today.
Right.
And you just, alter yourself into yourself. with blue hair. Or you say, you know what, it would be really helpful for me to reach the top shelf. Alter Self can do that for you. You can say, you know, I need to go swimming today. I would really like to have a swim speed and to be able to breathe water. That can do it for you.
Yeah.
So stuff like that.
It's awesome.
We also have the Circle of Dreams, which is, for those of you that are familiar with Warcraft, you're basically a resto druid, a restoration druid. It's this druid ties into the Feywild and sort of the primal wilderness of the Feywild and uses the restorative energies from that magical land to augment your healing and restful abilities.
Something Emerald Dream.
Very much so.
Malfurion's the biggest wimp in Warcraft.
Very much not so.
It's the truth.
No.
Got beat by a satyr. The heck?
We're talking about D&D here.
We're not going
gonna
there
get
right
into
now.
that.
We're just not going there right now.
So, next up. Hi, Joey. No, we're not talking about Shenmue.
We should.
We're talking about druids right now. So, next up we have it's the Circle of Shepherds, which is all about summoning, right? And sort of augmenting and boosting your summons. So almost like a conjuration wizard kind of a thing, but you do it better.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Specifically regarding summons. It's a little limiting because you don't get summons until 5th level, really.
Ooh.
Yeah, because the first one you get is like conjure animals. And then there are only a certain number of summoning spells in the game. So you really kind of have to focus on that one aspect if you want. Right. There's also Circle of Spores, which is, this is if you want to be a little bit of an oddball druid and focus on like the weirder parts of nature, namely like the circle of like rebirth and death and decomposition and fungi. And that you get some weird abilities, and that like instead of wild shaping is you're covered in spores and you can release those spores to like poison people.
What?
Yeah.
Cool. We have a guy in my game who plays one.
Yes. You can also, if you like release your spores onto a recently deceased creature, the spores will like take root and reanimate the corpse, making it fight for you.
What?
It's weird.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
That is like all types of like awesome and weird all
it is.
What I like about that is it gets around the whole necromancy thing without it being evil. Really?
Yes. Yeah. As
like without bypassing the natural order of things.
Yes, because fun fact, ladies and gents, is there is in fact a fungus that attacks I believe it's species of ants.
Yes, I've seen this.
That then what it does is it then controls their bodies like a fungus.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
That is in fact what the basis for the Pokemon Parasect.
Also, yeah. I'm pretty sure that's what the zombies in Last of Us are. They're like fungus zombies.
Probably, yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Do you want zombies? Because that's how we get zombies.
Yes. So this is the idea: is it's taking that
bath salts is how we get zombies.
No.
No, bath salts is how we just get like people eating each other.
That's how you get the state of Florida.
Bath salts is how you get mad cow again.
Not quite, but
not
but
too far off though.
Not too far off, but and then
what
let's
other
see, Circle Dream, Circle Shepherd.
Yes,
and that's it. Actually,
what was the one?
Really?
I thought there were some more UA ones.
No,
maybe. Did you say Circle of Shepherd?
Circle of Shepherd, yeah. So the ones that appeared in Xanathar's Guide to Everything were previously Unearthed Arcana.
Okay.
Yeah, they actually they actually made it to print.
One of the other games I played in, a guy played it, and maybe it was Shepherd. He could like spend points and add necrotic damage or something to his spells or attack something.
That is not Circle of Shepherd. Circle of Shepherd is you get to summon like a totem. And you get like a guardian spirit. So yeah. For Watchers of Critical Role, Neela was a Circle of the Shepherd druid.
And for those who watched cycle 1, Keyleth was the Circle of the Moon druid.
Yes. Yeah. So
she did all sorts of fun stuff. Just remember to not turn into a goldfish when you're falling off of a cliff.
Yeah, when you're high enough level, remember that.
No. Here's the real takeaway from this: don't ignore blatant warnings from your GM or DM telling you that this is going to end poorly. She was given a lot of outs on that from Matt in that episode.
Well,
I mean, I will agree.
Here's the other thing. At that level, okay, so regardless of what level of druid you are, at that level, you are able to assume the form of a flying creature.
Right.
So,
well, you know what?
That's a simple solution to a not very complex problem.
That was the issue.
Yeah.
Circle of Twilight is what I'm thinking of. Did we talk about that?
No. Okay. Yeah. So that is one that's still in Unearthed Arcana that hasn't been printed yet. But yeah. So that is that's the focus on like the harvest.
Yes.
And
that's what he has like harvest points or something.
Yes.
Use.
Yeah. So
harvest
it's almost
point?
Yes. So
and it would add necrotic damage to his spell. Actually, how he played it was he would collect stones that he thought were cool, and he kept them in a bag, and he would throw stones at people and add his harvest site damage to the stone. That's how he played it.
Yeah.
He was a quirky druid. It was a fun way he played his character.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah, so if you want to play so I would almost say that would fit more in line with if you want to do kind of a more World of Warcraft style game and you've been playing Battle for Azeroth and you enjoy sort of the plot line of Drustvar and the Drust Druids, is Circle of the Harvest very much fits into what they have with all the wicker and the harvest and the sort of glyphs and stone ruins and everything. That's a good sort of analogous class type for that. So yeah. So typically people will play druids as just guardians of nature or like shamans or some sort of like spiritual leader for like a tribe. But some other things that you could do are like if you want to play as a natural shapeshifter, without having to kind of break any rules as far as like a racial class kind of a thing, take points in druid, and then you can work with your DM to figure out like if you want like an alternate form kind of a thing that's not quite an animal, you could do that.
You could go with some lycanthropy type deal.
Absolutely.
Maybe. That would be an interesting. I like that. Now I think about it, that'd be a cool kind of character to play.
Yeah, I would say like if you wanted to have like a hybrid Wolfman form.
Can't Gilneans be druids?
Yes.
Oh, there we go. Maybe that's where I got the idea.
That was actually the whole reasoning how they're able to control their transformation. They were taught Druidism. Druids. Yes.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of an interesting character for a druid that just isn't so tropey, like, oh, I'm the nature person. I mean, you kind of have to be to some extent, I guess, but I don't know. I'm trying to think of it more interesting.
I think part of the interesting one that we might see with Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, since Ravnica is a citywide plane, is that you may see druids simply as like gardeners.
Right?
Or like urban planners kind of a thing.
Not a terrible spoiler, but has anybody read Wheel of Time series?
I have not.
No.
This isn't too spoilery, but there's a character, and they're like these. I don't know, what are they? They're like these ogre. I'm trying to remember. Whatever. They're like these big, like humanoid, hairy things.
Yeah.
At least how I remember it. But their whole deal is they have this nature magic, and like way in the past, they used to basically like build structures and buildings, and I think maybe parks, or it's implied that magic was used for that same type of thing, what you're talking about. Just made me think of that.
Magical city planning. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there are ways that you could do it with like Circle of the Land, maybe. You could be Captain Planet. Right?
That'd be a funny one.
And you just pick, a couple different locations to represent the different elements. I mean, if you decided to do a Circle of the Land and you picked like coastal, you could be like a wave speaker.
You could be Aquaman.
Yeah.
Nobody wants.
I'm thinking more of like a wave speaker that serves on boats, maybe.
Okay.
Is that you specifically, help with like shipping lanes and stuff like that. That if you're playing in an Eberron game, being a House Lyrander Druid would be cool, since they control air and sea based shipping.
So again, another Wheel of Time thing.
Yeah.
There's this whole culture of these basically a shipping a maritime society.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the whole premise of this book, by the way, is only females can use magic, whatever. So there's these like just female boats, and basically there's one or two females on the ship who control like the wind, and that's why they're so good at sailing. It's because they can control the wind and like move quicker than other people.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Also, the idea where I got the topless female crew for our game, that was in that book as well.
Wait, like the game that all three of us are in together?
No.
No.
My D&D game.
Okay.
In the book, their whole society was like, we don't care, we're free out on the ocean. Who cares?
I was not present for most of those sessions.
Yeah, were you not?
I was not. and we RP'd it that I was sulking below decks.
That sounds.
Usually that I was getting seasick, but I was like, I have a swim speed. Why would I get seasick? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, it's different. Being on a boat is different than being under the water.
I was going to say, being on a boat and being on a boat where you can't see the land is very different. Because I didn't realize I get seasick.
But yeah, so I
can't see the land.
it was after it would make sense for my character to have been sulking below decks and not talking to anybody.
But yeah, it's just another.
Since that happens most of the time when I am there.
Yeah. Just made me think of another instance where, the whole like water controlling wind for ships and whatnot. It's another way to do it, I guess.
Yeah.
I like that too.
You could certainly portray it as a, maybe they're, again, thinking of like the urban aspect, is that maybe they're sort of beast keepers.
Maybe you're a sewer druid.
That is totally a thing, right? That you have stuff to combat disease, poison, stuff to clean stuff up.
I got a character.
You can turn into crocodiles or rats.
Just weird sewer person.
Yeah.
So you want to become oh gosh, what's the
Master
you guys are
Splinter.
gonna Yes, thank you. That's exactly who I was thinking of. I could not think of the name.
That's a monk, probably, but yes, something along those lines.
Yeah,
not necessarily.
No, Master Splinter's totally a monk.
Yeah, 100%.
As are all of the Ninja Turtles.
I mean, I knew the Ninja Turtles themselves
They
had to be monks,
they
but
are
I
turtle
don't know.
monks.
I will trust those who actually watched
Did
it.
you have you digressing again? Have you done the Freehold dungeon,
Yep.
Sean?
Yeah.
You fought the Ninja Turtle, right? In the arena.
Probably.
You know the part where like gotta catch the greased pig,
Yes.
and then right after that you fight a Ninja Turtle before you fight Shark Hand guy.
Probably. I don't remember much of that fight. I do remember the Shark
Oh.
Hand guy, but it was just a blur.
I'm pretty sure it's a Ninja Turtle reference because
Probably.
he's definitely got it going. But
I was focused more on
also.
like, oh, I gotta push 2, then I gotta push 4, then I gotta push 5. I gotta do it right. Can't let stuff drop off. Oh no. But anyway,
just auto attack and win. You're a hunter.
But anyway, so yeah, I guess the only thing that you really have to include is some kind of natural element for your druid.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, like with a Circle of the Land Druid or Circle of Dreams or even Circle of Shepherd, I can't speak to Circle of Twilight and Circle of Spores. Like, the Wild Shape kind of takes a back seat and focuses more on a utility role than a combat role. So you can decide to, like, flavor it up a bit. You could also decide, you know, like in Warcraft, different orders of druids focus on specific animal forms. So, like, Druids of the Claw turn into cats. Druids of the Talon turn into birds. Or no, I think Druids of the Claw turn into bears. Druids of the Fang, I think, turn into cats. But anyway. But you could decide, like, you know, maybe you're part of a druidic order that only turns into a specific kind of animal. Maybe, you know, you have rival druids that focus on turning into different kinds of animals. But yeah, you know, maybe you want to play into like certain legends of stuff of people that, you know, are able to assume other forms due to some other factors. Yeah, really, Druid gives you sort of the chassis to build shape-shifting onto.
Yeah.
And I don't think, I mean, once you hit 3rd level, I would not be opposed to ruling that, like, you could turn into a humanoid kind of a thing instead of a beast.
I would definitely oppose
that. Since at that level you can get Alter Self.
You have Alter Self. Keep wild shape as wild shape.
I mean, I'm just saying I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Yeah.
But, like, here's the thing. You could only turn into humanoids. Like, you couldn't turn into humanoids and beasts kind of a thing.
I think that
like, you decide.
It would depend on the situation, I guess, because I don't feel like that really fits with the whole nature theme of Druid.
Well, no, this is if you wanted to use Druid as a basis for doing a shape-shifting character kind of a thing.
Right.
And for whatever reason you didn't want to play a changeling.
Well, yeah, if maybe in some urban setting, maybe that makes more sense to me.
Yeah. Or you build it as a villain.
Yeah.
Ooh,
as a villainous druid that has forsaken the natural world
or has forsaken the civilized world and thinks the natural world should take its rightful place or something. I don't know.
And then and then gains the ability to turn into humanoids to infiltrate society and take them out from within. But I mean, we have druids that can, you know, reanimate corpses with fungus. I don't think, you know, temporarily assuming a humanoid form, like a different humanoid form.
Just being able to disguise yourself is so strong. You already have Alter Self. You should have to burn a spell for it. But I guess if you're burning a shapeshift,
I mean, this is also a world in which warlocks can cast Disguise Self at will if they want. And then later Alter Self at will.
But it depends on certain things, you know. I don't know. Just again, with our discussion before.
You know, I think that is a GM's decision.
It is in the end.
I think that really comes down to talking with, you know, talking with your
I mean,
GM
'cause
about
in
how
most
they want to allow that to
situations-
happen.
In most situations, in my mind, it's no different than turning into a small, unassuming creature to pass undetected.
Well, right. So that's in that specific context, sure. But I don't know. Depends on what you're trying to do, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm just vaguely thinking about it, and I'm tentative on that type of stuff until, like, I'm given ample proof that it's not going to be abused too much.
Yeah.
That's a worry. Because then as
That's
DM, I
fair.
have to I have to somehow deal with in something that's too powerful, you know,
Yep.
that may break the game in certain ways, which may or may not. Like I said, I don't know if it would or wouldn't. It's just
Yeah.
initial worries. But again, Courtney's right. It is a DM choice. If the DM wants to deal with that, they can deal with it.
Yep. I'm just thinking, especially if it doesn't change your stats at all, and only changes like your cosmetic appearance.
Right.
So like, yeah, it doesn't give you a climb. Like if you turn into a race that has a climb speed, it doesn't give you a climb speed. It doesn't give you a swim speed. Doesn't give you a fly speed. Doesn't let you breathe water.
Yeah, you just look like whatever other race
But
you want to be.
I also like that's a very specific context. I think for most people, when they think shapeshifter, they're like, "Brah, I want to be a werewolf." Brah!
Right.
And that's a bit easier to balance out, sort of.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like, oh,
yeah.
I want to sneak into a castle and I can change my appearance 3 or 4 times. Perfect. I can make this real easy on myself.
You can't though, because you only get 2 wild shapes per short rest.
But how many spells do I have? Alter selves. That's what I'm just saying. I'm adding that on top of what I have in spells. So you're just adding the number of whatever. Again, this is another specific context, but I'm just I am looking for the ways to abuse it.
Yep.
Just
I mean,
as a DM, so
yeah.
Just
as a thought,
I would want to abuse it. Just as how would I combat that?
How could it be abused, and how could you like foresee that coming and kind of
It's just something from. And this is a different conversation we're going on, but just as a DM, that's kind of my mindset sometimes. Is like
my retort is an illusionist wizard.
Oh yeah,
can do it. But you 4 times as many times.
You are taking a specific path to get to that.
Yeah.
Right. So just saying, okay, Druid, you can do this without having to, whatever. That's not a certain road. You can just do that without it being a mechanic. So that's a wizard mechanic. You have to do something to get there.
Technically, you wouldn't have to be an illusionist because that doesn't really give you any specific stuff related to disguise.
But being an illusionist improves it vastly.
Does it? Not really.
I don't know.
Not really. Yeah, the wizard subclasses don't actually augment a whole lot.
And in the end,
yeah,
really, I'm just debating to debate.
Yep.
Because why not?
Yeah. Because again, in that situation, I would argue
it actually really is.
No, I meant that genuinely.
Warlocks, illusionists, anybody with disguise bards.
Yeah.
Or anybody with a disguise kit.
Rogues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or anybody
assassins.
with a disguise kit.
But
base assassins.
Again, I guess
so
I think I don't want a druid to step on another class's role, because that takes something away from the other classes who might do that. Why give one class the ability to do everything when that's kind of the point, is to have people specialized in different things.
Yep. Which is why, again, like, this is a specific case where if a player requested it, we talk about it. And again, I mean, it might step on other classes' toes, but unless somebody is actively playing as that class, as the class that would get stepped on.
Right. Yes. Yeah, I know. Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Also, druids get one of the best out-of-combat healing spells in the game. Speaking of stepping on other people's toes. Healing Spirit, which, to bring it up, again, like, if you don't have a cleric that decides to use Prayer of Healing, it doesn't matter much. But
I guess, and now that I'm thinking back on it, whatever, you're gonna burn slots up doing stuff like that, whatever, that's on you, because whatever, my style is to make you use up your spell slots anyway.
Yeah.
And all your abilities before you get to the hard part. So I guess I'm not.
Yeah. I mean, it's also
whatever.
like
that's how I combat that type of stuff.
Allowing that function, it basically says like you can change your appearance like twice per short rest. And that's like all that you can pretty much use it for.
Right.
Kind of a thing.
Yeah, now that you mentioned that healing spirit, and when I had thought through again with that, like, oh, how's that going to be abused when we talked about it? I'm like, oh, as a DM, how do I deal with that? I'm like, oh, I don't care. They burned a spell slot to do that.
Yeah.
That's perfect. That is their punishment. They burned a spell slot.
And that's why I mentioned. So healing spirit for listeners. Healing spirit is a spell. It's a second level druid and ranger spell where you conjure a spirit that exists in a square, right? And as long as you concentrate on the spell for up to a minute, is that spirit exists. And when any of your allies pass through that square, they heal 1d6 hit points. And I think technically they can only benefit from it once per round. Right? So you can't just keep stepping in and out of the healing spirit.
Oh yeah, we've talked about this before.
Yeah, so the idea is that like out of combat, because you're not pressured or whatever, you just have the healing spirit like move and do like donuts through the party kind of a thing, healing everybody. And everybody heals 10d6 per casting. However, during combat, not really a big deal because, like assuming that you keep concentration on it, you're not able to concentrate on other spells. And, that means that like somebody heals like 1d6 per turn if they're able to get into the spirit square and then move out of it for somebody else.
Yep.
So,
that's the thing. It would be eating up people's movement.
Yeah. It's just the out of combat thing. But, there are ways to work around it. The easiest is, as, Josh often does, is just compensate your encounters for that. Which, fun fact, Wizards has said that when they balance challenge rating and they balance monster difficulty, they assume that the party has all resources at their disposal. So they assume that, you're just all fully healed and everything like that.
They assume that you have all of your spell slots and that you have all...
Yep.
Interesting.
Interesting. It was very interesting.
Because I think the consensus from the DM community is that they're not doing a great job in their calibration then, because it doesn't... I'll give my own empirical evidence here. I never feel like challenge rating works correctly.
Oh.
It doesn't feel right to me.
I think it's a garbage system, and I wish that it died with 3rd edition.
Oh, I like the idea of it if it actually made it easy to create encounters, but it doesn't.
It doesn't. No, 4th edition was far superior in my opinion in that regard. But anyway, that's getting a little off topic. So, I think that's gonna wrap it up. Because talked about druids.
As I say, another week, another character I want.
Yes, yeah, druids are super cool. We have one in our game, in the Jemmora game. So when you check that out, he is a lizard folk druid.
Yeah,
he's a druid of the moon.
Oh,
that's a little thing that the other players don't necessarily know about yet, because it hasn't come up. Because this character previously was playing a homebrew class.
He's a disgusting lizard man who
you're just
spells.
a racist. Your character is just racist.
As far as Tyron Kai goes, he is pretty disgusting, though.
Yeah.
Like that.
That's
in
objective.
fact, that was in fact a center point for his design. Yes.
Yeah, but Jacobin is still racist.
Yeah, it wouldn't have mattered.
No. But we made some strides. So there is some character growth there.
May will have to see it to believe it.
Who knows? Maybe by the end of this story arc, Jacobin will even let lizard folk cook him food.
What? Oh, that would be intense.
I'm actually waiting for a comeback that says like that like lizard folk are afraid of like humans preparing their food because they have E. coli or something. As that would be like the analogous thing, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's about the same thing. Instead of salmonella, but So yeah, that about wraps it up for this week. Thank you for joining us, listeners and watchers of the stream.
And watchers.
So you can catch us each week, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, to watch our podcast. If you want to see more content from 8-Bit Adventures, including the 8-Bit Adventures comic, as well as VODs of the various streams and videos that are put up, you can head on over to 8-bitadventures.com and go check that stuff out. It also has all of the social media links over there. If you want to support that content, please consider becoming a patron over at patreon.com/8bitadventures. You can also see the link up here in the overlay on stream. And consider becoming a patron and get cool patron stuff. Big shout out and thank you to all of our current patrons.
Woo!
And we look forward to your continued support. Our opening and closing theme is One Up by the illustrious Professor Shy Guy. You can find his stuff over at professorshyguy.bandcamp.com.
Yeah.
And with that, folks, have fun, happy gaming, and enjoy your not water Davian pie cake.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye. Just start my own coven with cookies and blackjack.